Welcome everyone to number 92 of the Tesla Beat podcast, man. It feels crazy that not only are we in the 90s, but just every week, the beat of Tesla never stops pumping. So we are going to get you guys updated and caught up to speed on the biggest stories. Shout out to Joe for helping prep the deck and getting it all together. And shout out to Hans for being a regular co-host with us. Welcome both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. It's always fun to get to catch up on the news at the end of the week and talk all things Tesla, since there is, like you said, so much stuff going on.
There's a lot.
Exactly. We may have Brian FutureAza join us, but we have to end a little bit earlier today. But let's get into it and let's not waste a minute. All right. You know, it's kind of funny. 2018, 2019 were the biggest months of FUD, but I feel like it is 2025 and we are still throwing a lot of that garbage out. So the Tesla Beat has you covered as far as fighting FUD. Stock, shout out to my boy Tim Waltz for the stock rebounding 25% since his whole debacle with telling people to praise the stock going down, even though his own state employee pension fund had over 1 million shares. So shout out to him. But thankfully, since that, we always need an inverse Kramer somewhere, and we found him.
Truth is really stranger than fiction, man. That is that whole thing is just wild. The whole thing is bizarre.
What you mean is the most entertaining outcome is the most likely.
Most likely, yeah.
Shout out to
so true.
Trevor Milton for getting the unconditional pardon or whatever it was.
Allegedly. Yeah, I think from what I understand, that still has yet to be officially confirmed.
Yeah,
but man,
like
that's jacked up if it's true.
All right. Well, never a dull moment. Okay, so let's get into this. I would say that this is probably one of the break this week. Austin robotaxi process has promise. Tesla put out something. The future is autonomous, and it starts in Austin this June. Thanks to the Austin City and Texas Department of Transportation for hosting and supporting our efforts to unlock safe and low-cost premium point-to-point electric transport. And then Eric, he's the head engineer on the robotaxi. He said, exciting day, talk robotaxi with critical operators.
You're breaking in and out, John.
Okay. Hopefully that shouldn't be happening. Are you still having issues?
Yeah.
Oh no. Do you want to handle the slide then?
Let's say exciting day talking about robotaxi with critical operational stakeholders. Thanks again to officials at Austin Transportation and Texas DOT for organizing these AV exhibits. Yeah, this is one of those things that you can just see from all the employees who commented that this is one of those things that's not. I mean, there's so much promise around what's happening, and everybody's talking like, yeah, no, we're doing this. It's going to be big, and don't sleep on this. It's so you can see the aura is real on this. So I'm excited.
Well, and I always love when you see the Tesla team or Tesla official sources start talking about things that they anticipate happening, because they tend to have there's not a Tesla official 2 weeks meme, because they have a much better track record of being consistent in getting the timing closer to right. So that's cool. Remember when Ashok said FSD is going to achieve all these things in October, and they achieved all of them. There were some things towards the end of the year that they were close, but not quite on. And so seeing a lot of this hype coming out of these other non-Elon Musk direct channels definitely gives me an increased level of confidence that we're actually going to have robotaxi service launch in June. And man, that's going to be an incredible day. And the other, my tweet on this when I reposted it is, remember when we saw all of the, the posts from OpenAI about how they've achieved these crazy things, and the rumor was AGI achieved internally, and while, I don't want to compare Tesla to OpenAI, I would say that I think that we have achieved artificial driving intelligence internally. And that's where this excitement is coming out of from the team.
Yeah.
Am I back or am I pretty bad still?
No, you're good.
Better now.
Okay. All right, we'll see how long this lasts. Otherwise, I'm going to let Joe take point. But yeah, I think that this is a huge step for Tesla. I mean, obviously they've been alluding to this in their earnings calls, along with in their all hands meetings. So this is a big milestone, and for them to have met with the Department of Transportation, the city of Austin, is a huge sign that this is moving forward. So really excited to see that. We saw them pull permits in California, I think a couple weeks back. Autonomous future. They're showing this. This is we're at the we're getting close to the 11th hour before the big launch. Am I cutting out again?
Yeah, just a little bit. It wasn't bad, though.
All right, so maybe I'll stop. But sorry guys. I'll pass it back to you, Joe.
China demand. Here we go. So thanks to Sawyer Merritt, news Tesla China seems to have overtaken Q1 2024 registrations with a new Model Y ramp. So, I mean, we saw this coming. We know that the Q1 numbers are probably not going to total out to be that great. Hey, Brian. Are not going to total out to be that great. It's actually good that you're here because we're talking about the Q1 numbers in China. So I'm thinking that the numbers are probably not going to be that awesome. I think Q2 is going to be where it's at. What do you say, Brian?
I say all that is absolutely true. China is rocking it. We tried to tell the analysts this. They not the analysts, I guess the media. They're saying it is over. The story is over. We're done. Look at China was so far down in January. I said, right, but Chinese New Year hit in a different month this year. It didn't hit in February, plus the retooling. Well, February is here, and look, it's still behind. I'm like, guys, premature. March comes, we're seeing record high deliveries.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. And it's worth noting that this isn't a record year for this quarter as of that week. That is held by 2023, which is the last time they weren't tooling any cars in China in the first quarter. So this is off to a record start, and we're going to see that the other two factories started retooling a little bit later, 2-3 weeks later. So we're going to see a lag of at least 2-3 weeks. But because Fremont, Berlin, and Austin are not China, the ramp is probably going to be a little bit slower. Q2 and Q3 absolutely where it's at.
And the only point that I want to add to what Brian said there is remember that the Model Y is a much higher volume vehicle than the Model 3 was. So because lost production on the Model Y is equivalent to way more units than lost production on the Model 3, the fact that we can be even close to the same number of registrations in China in Q1 this year means that the ramp is going way better, and it bodes really well for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I think people are really sleeping on this. It's going to be really interesting to see what the numbers look like, and I mean we know they're going to be not great, but I don't think they're going to be as bad as the worst possible outcome. You know what I mean?
I was asked, well, great, the Model Y is re-ramping, but what about all the other cars? Why aren't those showing record high sales? And yeah, S and X are low volume. Cybertruck is still too expensive for a lot of people, and there are a lot of people who don't necessarily want the rock star level of attention that you get driving one, even if whether that's a beloved rock star or one that's less well loved. But yeah, it is the car that they make in 4 factories. It is the world's best selling car, and it just got a whole lot better. If you haven't driven one, go drive one and you'll see. So,
and as far as the earnings call coming up, I don't think that the street is really going to care about the lower deliveries this year if management gives them high confidence about demand moving forward and production moving forward. This is, a forward-looking story. And so, the fact that, okay, deliveries are down because we're doing this retool, I think that is something that no one who's trying to value this company on a forward-looking basis is going to care about if, Elon and the team come out and they say, hey, production ramp of Model Y is actually going better than expected, and we have record-breaking demand for this new car moving forward for the rest of the year.
And we don't know what the demand is yet because we're still in most markets in launch edition. Once we get past launch edition, we'll get a better, clearer picture. But in the meantime, in terms of margin, this is all good news because they're selling at a premium price, which offsets a lot of the costs for retooling. And once we get every variant, every color, every combination, it's going to be selling like crazy. I can see no reason why it wouldn't.
Yeah, I think your margin note is a good one because we do got to realize that these are selling at a premium, and it's badging and software for the boost that's really the differentiating factor on this vehicle. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty good. We have in the deck about Singapore is getting the non launch series, so you can tell it's rolling out. Here we go. So non-launch series, Juniper in Singapore. So this is just put out by Sawyer, of course. Tesla is now taking orders for the Model Y rear-wheel drive 110. Well, I don't know what that's all about. A special version of the new Model Y that is $3,000 cheaper and custom made for Singapore. So they get the new Model Y 110 at a cheap price.
Okay, that's interesting. Also worth noting, Joe Techmeyer was able to spot non-launch edition Model Ys
Right.
being piled up in Texas, which means it is imminent. But I'd be curious to know what a 110 edition is.
It looks like the kilowatt hours. It looks like it's more than 70 something kilowatt hours. So I imagine, what's the range on this going to be then? What does it say?
That would be crazy.
Aren't they at 82 on the US one though?
For the
For the new
launch
Model
series?
Y, I think is at 82 kilowatt hours.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, that battery pack would be, if it is 110 kilowatt hours, would be bigger than any battery pack that Tesla makes except for the Cybertruck. Well,
Yeah.
and the Semi.
Well, no, let's put that in. Let's do the 850 edition.
Yeah, let's just add that to the to the cars. To the next slide, John.
I think Bearded Tesla just called out it's a tax benefit in Singapore specifically. So that's why they probably modified it to get it under a certain amount.
He's here somewhere. Where is he? So for those who don't know, we are in chat. I am in Chattanooga. Don will be joining me in Chattanooga shortly. And you guys got to get out to these events. We've got Tesla Tino right there, hanging out. Well, you got to get out to these events. There's the X Takeover coming in July in Alameda, California. Almost everyone in this frame will be there, including Raphael. You got to get to these events. It's so much fun.
American made. I mean, this is like news to no one. I mean, we know that they make these vehicles here, and the parts is predominantly American as well. But this is a breakdown of where cars sold in the U.S. are made. Teslas are 100% made in the U.S. Ford 77%, not too bad. Yeah. Stellantis 57%. Bad news for Stellantis coming up later in the deck. Nissan 52%. Good on Nissan right there with GM 52%, Toyota 48%, Kia 33%. Shout out to Kia and Hyundai for the new UI that's upcoming. Volkswagen 21%. So Elon Musk, it's important to note that Tesla is not unscathed here, and the tariff impact on Tesla is still significant. For those that were wondering about the tariff impact that the president had made note of, so it's pretty cool that he called that out, that he wanted to make mention of that, but it doesn't change the fact that the impact to these other companies is going to be dramatic. and I wish we had Jeff here to talk about this, because he was on Herbert's podcast yesterday, and they were talking about it, and he was saying that this is going to be a death blow pretty much to a lot of companies, because you're talking about tariffs on the part supplier and the supply chain of all these companies. So it's going to be massive.
A lot of Ford's V8s come from Ontario, which makes it. I mean, that is one of those critical elements that would be tariffed at 25%, and it's tariffed on the parts value, and the parts value on, say, a blinker is $10, $20. So 25% tariff on that's going to raise the price of your car by $3, $5, whereas a tariff on a V8 is going to make your vehicle no longer competitive and increase the price of it by more than the margin on the entire vehicle.
Yeah, no, it's crazy times, man. Civil unrest, some would say.
I mean, the saving grace for Ford is that all the other internal combustion engine auto manufacturers are also facing those same types of constraints. So, if you really do need a gas V8, you're not going to have a whole lot of choices, which, if that's where we end up getting to, it is hard to know how all of this stuff is going to shake out since it changes so often. But if that's where we get to, that is definitely an inflationary force on the American economy.
It's a leveling playing field, I would say, and it just cements the fact that a lot of these companies should have went more EV sooner and more vertically integrated. It seems would have been ideal, but I mean, not everybody thinks like how Tesla thinks, and so you can't really fault them for doing things the way they've been doing them for 100 years and it working out for them. So
when you're chasing quarterly profits, it's hard to think in a 5 or 10 year perspective.
Facts. John, you can still speak, Tesla to enter Saudi Arabia. Probably nothing. So I thought this was pretty cool. Tesla will officially enter Saudi Arabia. The event will be held on April 10th, 4/10. And Tesla Chan's looking forward to it. So, I mean, dude, if you, okay, just a break from the reality here. If you haven't seen how they treat vehicles in Saudi Arabia, like this truck is going to go through its paces. I mean, they're overturning freaking Range Rovers and everything on the sand dunes. It's insanity with how they treat vehicles. So it's going to be wild to see the Cybertruck out there doing the business.
Well, we don't know if it's going to be Cybertruck. Maybe they only want the Model 3.
Yeah.
but I think we have a pretty good idea.
Saudi Arabia only gets Model 3. Yeah, no, they put this photo. They put the Cybertruck in the photo for funsies. It's all Model 3 and Model Y.
Yeah, I'm really excited to just see the continual global expansion, especially in places like this where there's just a lot of people with a lot of money just to throw at these cars. So some of the content for sand dunes with the Cybertruck is going to go up 100x. That's for sure. Hans, you want to hit this one?
The EVs for oil tycoons?
No, the FSD animation.
There it is.
Yeah. So, I looks like I have been somewhat uninformed on this. I've been all over the Tesla website, but I'm usually on the inventory page. And so it looks like this has actually been something that has been an animation in the European design studio for a while. So this isn't really anything new. And while there is some impending changes to FSD being able to be sold in the Netherlands, and there is a page after this where they actually now start calling it FSD supervised instead of the enhanced autopilot feature. They have been able to pay for this for a while, so that is somewhat of just uninformed commentary on my part about what the status of being able to purchase those options in Europe has been.
Well,
but it is fun
cool
to see. Yeah, it's fun to see the reporting, especially by Keys Roll and Chat, about what is about to happen in the Netherlands, that FSD is pretty much a lock that that's going to get approved in the Netherlands. And then once it's approved in the Netherlands, there's an exemption framework that's kind of in place that Tesla can exploit to get FSD approved throughout all of the EU. And so obviously none of that has happened yet, but it's really exciting that there is an opportunity for that to happen much, much, much sooner than anyone has anticipated up to this point. And I just can't wait for, people, especially people who've already paid this money, to have access to FSD and have been limited in the functionality that Tesla has shipped to them, to finally be able to enjoy the software that they've already purchased.
And Keith is really doing great work keeping up on the different policies and how they're being followed and implemented. And this does look like they'll be able to, crack the door open in one country and then expand from there.
Australia gets China mega packs first. So, I mean, we knew the China was shipping out mega packs. It's pretty cool. But the first Chinese-made Tesla mega packs are officially on their way to Australia, headed to Queensland, where they will be installed for the second stage of the giant Western Downs battery. Tesla still retains a 1/3 market share in the country. So, I mean, the Aussies are not playing around, man. They are, I guess they really took the whole Mad Max thing to heart. They are really prepared for the future, it seems.
I
And
would just say that,
they've got a lot of renewables, so it makes sense. And they don't have a lot of oil in the ground, so that makes sense too. Because if they are going with a very capitalist model and going green, because in their case it works exactly well for their case. That first $100 million mega pack paid for itself in like 9 months, and when you see numbers like that, it becomes very easy to expand.
Makes sense.
and I would also just add that it's really not surprising that the mega packs coming out of Shanghai are going to be primarily focused on exports for at least the beginning of the ramp up of this factory. And depending on how trade relationships between the United States and China go, that could kind of extend that. I think there might be a preference for Chinese made energy grid storage solutions in China, and then that factory may be focused primarily on exports to other countries.
And China does have BYD, CATL, and everybody makes a BESS, a big energy storage solution system that this is not a rare product. And Teslas are among the more expensive ones because they're worth it, because it works, and because being able to better arbitrage power means that the higher price is worth it, because it ends up being a lower cost solution in the end.
Yeah, as with most things, and I think people kind of forget this part, is that Tesla enters a lot of markets where there's already players in that market, and Tesla's plan isn't to be dominant of those markets. The plan is just to simply enter those markets and be impactful and make their way. And I mean, you see that with the truck, you see that with the sedan when there wasn't any EV sedans, and with the Model X and those type of things. But Tesla's plan wasn't to outsell the F-150. You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't their plan. Their plan was just to sell trucks. And same thing with, as you say, with the BES. Yeah, there's a lot of companies that make these huge packs, and Tesla wants some of that money. I mean, that's a huge TAM, and why not? You know what I mean? Why not get a part of it? But as we see with everything, their manufacturing prowess just overshadows everybody else, and so they end up just being able to be dominant because they can get these products to people faster than everybody else, and that's why they end up selling so many.
And it's the combination of their manufacturing prowess with best-in-class software too. That best-in-class software on top of being able to make great products. I mean, that's part of what makes the product so great. Is why they can charge that premium price to Brian's point that the value is definitely there. Like, you pay more because it's worth more, because it's better at what it does. And that's, a great focus of the company. You see it across all their product lines, and the Mega Pack is no different than anything else.
If you look at China has their own version of a 737, but Chinese carriers prefer to buy the 737 because the fuel consumption on the Chinese one is so much higher that it is no longer a cheaper plane over the life of it. So, same kind of principle applies.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Let me know if I start cutting out, but I'm really excited for the fact that Tesla will continue to put their supply chain operations on different parts of the world. Right, you see it happen with China. You're seeing it happen with Europe. They're obviously doing it in the United States, and we'll see how they continue to expand that, because that will continue to help them to leverage, like what we're seeing right now with all of these tariffs that are happening in the United States for things that are being imported. But the Mega Pack, again, the energy business, I believe, produces about 15% of the profit for Tesla. So it's pretty, it's wild, and it will continue to, hopefully print money for them, especially given that this is something that, there's a lot of demand for it.
And worth noting that they generate all that revenue with just no employees at all. I mean, the Lathrop factory has a few hundred workers, I would say. Would you say that's about right, Joe? It's a very small head count for huge amounts of money. And battery prices are still falling. As the battery prices fall, that means that you can reach more markets and maintain the high margin.
Joe, do you?
Yeah. Okay. So if you live under a rock, welcome back. If you haven't seen any of these freaking Tesla FSD videos, like in China, they do the wildest stuff. The big picture here is this guy drove onto a sidewalk and had the FSD navigate off of the sidewalk. So the test that they're doing, I'm not even kidding, dude. The test that they're doing over there is freaking next level. Like, I don't even know, like, they have ADAS over there, and I don't ever see them doing this to any of the other vehicles. So it's pretty crazy. This other one that Tesla says, but you need LiDAR for autonomy. They take this and what looks to be like some, I don't even know what this is, but it's a super small like walkway, and they just take the Tesla through it, and it navigates through this like little walkway tunnel. Like the test that they're doing is freaking like insane. They are putting it through its paces, man, and it's passing every single test. So it's pretty remarkable what they're able to do without having it be fully unlocked with all of the training and everything. So it's pretty impressive.
And they really have been stress testing it. This is what we've seen everybody do in every market is, the manufacturer makes a product and they go, boy, I hope nobody does anything crazy. But with this, instantly it's going to be all crazy. And guys, FSD will never work around the world because we'll have to repaint all the lane lines on every road. These roads don't have lane lines. These are windy dirt paths that kind of just hang out in the middle of nowhere in farmland and countryside, and it still all works.
Yeah, still all works. That was a true dirt path going through that farmland tunnel that in that last video. Go ahead, Hans.
This really underscores one of the points that I've made on and off now for a number of years, that there is a level of software maturity and confidence that Tesla displays when it's willing to roll out massive free trials of FSD. And to be willing to roll out a massive free trial of FSD in a new jurisdiction like China, where not only is it a huge market, and so you're increasing the surface area of people who might crash the car significantly because it's so many vehicles, but then on top of that, like the driving scenarios that these cars are encountering in China are way more varied than they are here in the United States, and in many cases even more dangerous, just because the infrastructure is not as mature as it is here. That implies that Tesla is really, 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 really comfortable with the safety capability of FSD as is, that it is ready to be a mass market product. And that is, another thing to go back to the other signs that we've been looking at coming out of Tesla that just says we really are looking at potentially a June rollout of paid rides of a robotaxi service. Like the software is ready.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that app. I want to get that Tesla ride sharing app.
And I wonder, do you guys really think that June is happening? And if so, which part of June?
I think it's going to be mid-June. My take.
Yeah, I think depending on when this happens, I wouldn't be surprised if they have a decent like launch event for this. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe I'm making this up. They pick a spot in downtown Austin or even at the Gigafactory where they just start hailing rides and showcasing this. But I would assume that when it does get ready, unless there's any major blockers between now and in June, and again, 3 months, a lot can happen. But it's coming. I mean, you're seeing it. It's not like this is a stock hype. Tesla doesn't put out updates just to hype the stock like some of these other companies will, and keep people coming. So I think I posted a video this morning in FSD China where this dude was like on like a 1-lane road heel. It's dirt. And he's just going through the mountains. And it's just, so it is really cool to see what's happening out there, especially with the limited amount of training that they have out there. And it's only going to get better. And then something that Joe mentioned earlier in one of the earlier slides, it is crazy to see that Q1 registrations in China have now passed Q1 in China from 2024. So I think that's a really good sign of the demand out there. And then, we'll see how things go. Obviously, we know this quarter is going to be a little soft, but the next 6 to 12 months, we'll see, even how all of this stuff that's been going on with the new administration, how that impact will look on Tesla. But either way, with a great new product launch, it's going to be some exciting times. And then, all right, let's kick it to the next one. Joe, I'll throw this one to you.
Yes. Tesla Optimus on Capitol Hill. So this was pretty awesome. This congressman, he had a good time, and actually on his page, he had got a Cybertruck. You know what I mean? So he had went to the service center, got an overnight or whatever Cybertruck. So he was driving around the Cybertruck, and then he goes to this and sees Optimus and everything. So today, Tesla Optimus made an appearance on Capitol Hill. No, Optimus wasn't up here testifying on how he's going to change the world. He's a part of the Robot Symposium. So I didn't know that they had the Robot Symposium. I mean, I'm not a robot engineer, so I wouldn't know, but it's pretty good. Like he has a video too where you can see it dancing and stuff like that. So all the lawmakers got to see this, and I think there's a better understanding now that, because if you're having a robot symposium, you're seeing more than just Optimus. You're seeing what everybody else has to offer too, right? So now you realize like it's real. And I had I was with Penny 2 times yesterday, and he was at an investor type conference, and they really had no idea. You know what I mean? They don't understand about robots. They don't understand that they're coming. They don't get it. And so I think things like this kind of lets people be more aware, and it just needs to be more mentioned and more apparent to people, because they don't want to be hit over the head with a ton of bricks when this drops on people and they're just like, wait, robots are everywhere. And like, you know what I mean? Like you need to be ahead of it so you can prepare and understand like what's going on. Labor of abundance.
one thing I was going to say is, just knowing how upside down our government's like technology is for, again, this is not saying anything political, but to have Elon at the White House, to have him even bringing his cars, to have him bringing these robots, people really can see the future. I mean, you saw it in the Ted Cruz interview as well, where they were just talking about going to Mars, where they're talking about AI, where they're talking about robotics. And I think that a lot of these government officials may have not had a full understanding of what the future will look like. And I think having someone like Elon literally roll up to the White House, showcase some of these things, really brings them into 2025 and really, gives them a quick heads up of where 2050 will be. So I'm personally really, it is crazy to see this company just being at the forefront of a lot of the things that are happening right now versus, the previous 4 years. So, so I was personally really excited to see that there. All right, Joe. Looks like we spun this pretty quick. I think you're on mute, Joe.
Yeah, we spun it pretty quickly, but we know we have a quick episode today because we have things to do. We've got FUD to fight. We got to prepare for tomorrow. John's got a flight to get to. He's got to be in Chattanooga.
Where are you, John? We need you.
Yeah, I'll be literally rolling in tomorrow at 8 a.m. So I'm taking the red eye tonight. But I'm just happy I get to be there, even if it is a short time. I'm just happy I can be there and represent. And I think we're doing a live session too, Brian. So.
Oh, nice.
All right.
Brian's breaking news. Brian's just now finding out he's got to speak live.
I knew I had to speak live. I just didn't know anyone would get to listen.
All right. Cybertruck allowed in Hong Kong, Brian.
Me. So this is crazy. I didn't know that Cybertruck was going to be in Hong Kong at all, let alone in some kind of a professional licensed capacity. This is exciting. What a way to get the word out. Even if you can't buy one, it gets you into the brand in a way that you might not have had access to before. And yeah, this is if you see this rolling up, you're going to be talking about it for days. And in terms of just virality, this is a big deal because what percentage of people who ride in it are going to post about it? It's a lot. It's a good percentage. It's more than any other taxi for sure. So yeah, it's just exciting.
Yeah, 100%. Here we go, Hans. Fear makes people say crazy things.
Yeah. I mean, Tesla has aspired to compete with Waymo for nearly 10 years. They still don't compete with Waymo, though, on providing laser shooting advanced driver assistance technology. That said, I would be somewhat nervous if I was in his position about an event that's going to happen in June with a fleet of cars that's going to instantaneously dwarf all of Waymo. They can operate at costs that are far below what Waymo can ever hope to in their wildest dreams.
They don't seem to understand that Tesla can scale in ways that they can't. I had a guy say in the comments to me the other day, no, Elon's plan is going to fail because it hinges on all of us putting our cars on the network. No, it doesn't. If 0 of us do, and if they don't start with Cybercab, if it works in June, they could just say, look, 20% of our volume is dedicated to in-house Cybercabs or to robotaxis with models 3 and Y. And they could add another shift. I mean, they could flood the market. In 2017, Waymo announced they were buying 63,000 Pacificas to put into their fleet. What happened? They never got past 1,000, even now, all these years later. So, Waymo, you can sit down.
Well, and literally,
go ahead.
If Brian, if Tesla implemented Brian's plan of just 20% of Model 3 and Model Y production, they would far surpass the number of Waymos on the road by the end of the month.
Well, I mean, by the end of the week.
By the end of lunch.
That's crazy to think about. What I also wanted to say was we have to remember that the 1010 event was operating on 13.2.8, which is what we have now, and it's amazing. And that was freaking October. So you already know that Tesla has a way better version that they're going to be putting out, and it's going to be a rock star, because like the minor mistakes that the 13.2 makes right now is like nothing compared to what version 10 was making, and how quickly they needed updates for that, as we can
Or
see,
even
like
12.
yeah, or even 12. Like, yeah, once 12 hit, it was a game changer for sure. Penny was talking about that, like how he was glad that he got in at the time when he did, because 12 had its mistakes, but going to 13, you can just see the evolution leap of how they did with the internets and everything. Has just been an incredible sequence of events. And look at how infrequent the updates have been, because it's a solid product. It's pretty awesome.
I'll just say it again. Advanced driving intelligence achieved internally.
You will be caught, John.
Yes, you will. So I'm really happy to see a lot of these people who are. Am I fumbling again? Oh, I'm good. Okay, sorry. I saw Hans laughing, so I wasn't sure if it was just he was laughing because that looks like me, or if he was. No, I'm joking. Okay, but yeah. So either way, like the hate is real. I experienced it firsthand yesterday, but I'm really excited that the FBI is spinning up a whole launch team task force to come after these people. And I think I've been seeing a lot of the people. I think they caught someone that was, I think it was actually in Oregon. So shout out to Brian, but I think they caught the person who drew the swastika on one of the Cybertrucks or Teslas. They identified them. And then this guy, Paul Kim, and I guess this guy had like a pretty, conspiracy theory background and all this other stuff. So it's important to bring these people to justice. We had another member in Novato who got their car keyed by a guy with a big RV. So Novato police, we made that guy famous. But it's because of these. And that's one thing we've been doing is we've been exposing a lot of these people, because they saw the viral video on our handle that went 500,000 views. They finally reached out to the owner. Of course, there was a police report and all that other stuff, but they didn't really care. So now they're reaching out to the I think grocery store and some of these other companies that are there to get more footage. And the guy, I think, went on Cron 4 to talk about it. So it's just important, we're not trying to do this just to make fun of people. We're literally trying to get this crime to stop, and specifically from being targeted. Yesterday, I was pretty much almost like someone completely cut me off to the point where they came in my lane. All four wheels came over. And I filed a police report just to make sure, in case this person is doing this to other people, that there is a history of this. Thankfully, everyone came out safe. But unfortunately, a lot of this stuff can start to escalate. So I'm really happy to see these alleged suspects be brought to justice. And again, proven innocent until proven guilty. But, this is important to make a statement and really make a statement with some of these earlier people that are vandalizing other people's property, and in this case, Tesla's property.
If you're going to commit a crime, maybe don't do it on ones loaded with cameras in all directions, in all angles. So I don't know. Just thinking out loud.
Who would have thought?
Right. The Tesla food. So Tesla Diner food will be 5 stars. Apparently, chef Eric Greenspan will run Tesla's upcoming Hollywood diner, which includes a drive-in movie theater with a 45-foot LED movie screen and 75 V4s. Like crazy. So just to give you some background on Eric, he's ranked at top in French restaurants cuisine 2017. He had started an alt grub faction, deliveries, a virtual kitchen operation. He knows his stuff. He knows food. So this is going to be a good diner. The food's going to be excellent.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
Hopefully worth the wait. This thing's only been under construction for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Imagine building a diner and it took that long. Imagine building a factory here. I mean, it's just it's crazy.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Well, yeah, at the same time, they've announced and completed 2 megapack factories.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right, Joe, back to you.
Stellantis wants quitters. Brian.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, this is ridiculous. You see this all the time. It's the conquest discount. Please, if you just get rid of your Tesla, we'll give you 4,000. I think Polestar was at 8,000. I think Rivian or Lucid or both might have been at 4,000 to 7,000. Yeah, just please try our cars. Who knows? You might like it. And you know what? Those are all fine cars, I'm sure. If autonomy is not important to you, autonomy is important to me. I can't go back to driving myself. I'm just over it. I've done enough of it. I'm happy to just be a passenger, a supervisor in my own vehicle.
Yeah, the financial gains that a lot of these companies are trying to put out there is pretty interesting. This article was talking about the fact that Stellantis is in deep water. And so they are offering employees $72,000, up to $72,000, or I guess a yearly salary or whatever, just to quit. Because if they can get those people to quit now, then they don't have to worry about the lawsuits and stuff like that later.
I misunderstood the story. Sorry about that.
No, it's kind of a dark story. It just came out this morning. So yeah. Stellantis is offering employees $72,000 to quit. Stellantis is offering voluntary buyouts to hourly UAW workers. Way to go, UAW!
I will say that when the negotiations were ongoing, I warned that if the UAW got everything they wanted, it would be the end of the industry. And they got everything they wanted. I said, well, enjoy your Pyrrhic victory while it lasts, because you just burnt the whole thing down. And here we are.
Yeah, like, I mean, you could tell what was happening. You're trying to squeeze these guys that were already struggling and for more money, like they're making hand over fist, and they weren't. Even at the time, they weren't. So to do that, and now we're seeing the fallout from it. So here we are.
And things are about to get harder with the tariffs. So now you're going to have probably like less volume because of cars sold due to the crazy spikes in prices. Obviously, we'll see, but just something to note.
The sales of, and I've been saying this for a while now, so I really want people to know this. Like, the sales of vehicles they peaked. You know what I mean? Like for ICE vehicles, for sure. So you're never going to see sales volumes like that again. Like this, like when Toyota was selling like how many ever millions of vehicles, like, yeah, they're not going to reach those numbers again. And these declines will be steadily across the board until like everybody either switches over and we're all just driving EVs or whatever happens. But it's not good. It's not going to be good for a while. But I think that's our episode. We did it.
Yeah, just one quick announcement. So early bird savings ends March 31st. So go to xtakeover.com. We have Lars Morovi, who is the SVP of Vehicle Engineering, Steve Jurvetson, early investor for Tesla and SpaceX, along with most of Elon's companies. He's going to be the second keynote speaker. And then we have some amazing speakers, whether it's Brian, who's on this panel, Farzad, Gally. We have Sandy Monroe as well. Who knows, Hans, maybe you can make it out. But let's I
would love that.
Yeah, well, let me know. We can throw you in somewhere, man. Get you in the mix. We'll talk about that offline, but go to xtakeover.com. We would love to see you guys there. This has become the most iconic event. You're seeing a lot of events like the ones happening in Chattanooga this weekend. that have all started just because the community is amazing. But a lot of these events kind of focus around, not focus, but a lot of these events are great. But this one is very special. So hopefully we can see you there. And also, too, please give all of our co-hosts a follow. Brian, FutureAza, Hans, as well on X. They're tagged on X, and also their YouTube channels are tagged on YouTube, and Joe as well. If you want to have the Prez Media come to your doorstep. But thank you guys again. It's funny. We started, I think, the upbeat like at like 9 or 8:35, and it went 20 minutes. So crazy times. But have a good week, everyone. We will see you next week on the next one.